Good morning, everybody. It's our call to order for our Tuesday, May 12th, regular meeting of the Mason County Commission. We will go ahead and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Deborah Reese, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much for that. Item number 3, roll call.
Commissioner District 1, Randy Netherland.
Yes.
Commissioner District 2, Tim Sheldon.
Here.
Commissioner District 3, Terry Jeffries.
Here. Next, we will move on to item number 4, which is correspondence and organizational business. Do we have any correspondence to come before this commission?
Yes, we do. Nancy Johnson and Heidi McCutcheon submitted applications for the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. The Department of Commerce sent a letter asking for an Associate Development Organization designation. The Department of Natural Resources sent county income report and revenue tables. And the Liquor Control Board sent a liquor license application for Assumption and a special occasion license for Harsting Island Community Club.
Excellent, thank you very much. Item number 4.2, Bill Carey.
Good morning, Commissioners, members of the public. The item today is in regard to our Board of Equalization. As the Commissioners are aware, the Board of Equalization is provided as a citizen opportunity established under RCW to allow for citizens to make appeals of property assessments, senior exemptions, those type of things. In Mason County, we've been blessed and have an excellent, well-seasoned Board of Equalization to include Mr. Robert McKibben, Kevin Frankenberger, Gary Miner, and Deborah Reese. Okay. With that, I would like to introduce the chair, Mr. McKibben.
Thank you, Bill. I'd like to address the commissioners, Commissioner Jeffries, Commissioner Netherland, and Commissioner Shelton. And this is a memo from the Mason County Board of Equalization, and it referencing a commendation for the Board of Equalization clerk, Becky Rogers. There she is.
Should I do the series? I was wondering when you were going to get her.
Ms. Rogers came to the position of the Board of Equalization clerk in the fall of 2013 following the resignation of the past longtime serving clerk. It was also a time when you appointed almost a completely new board with the last member appointed shortly thereafter. Clerk Rogers had neither the luxury nor the mentorship nor briefing of the person who resigned the position, and she was faced with a high-energy board, but one with little Board of Equalization experience. Adding to, the State Department of Revenue had ongoing findings to be addressed in their past audit of the then-serving Board of Equalization and the then-serving Board of Equalization clerk. Even with the challenges presented, Clerk Rogers' performance for the Board of Equalization has been exemplary over the past 18 months, and we ask that a special commendation be made to her recognition. Although the four of us are volunteers, we form a quasi-judicial body, and in essence, we have an employer-employee relationship with our clerk. Thus, the usual means of recognition of a county employee by a citizen or citizen board of committee is not available to us. There's an incredible amount of details involved in the work of the board, most of which is detailed in RCWs and WACs and is mandated by the State of Washington Department of Revenue. Multiple, at times, competing deadlines must be met on behalf of the citizens of Mason County. The board itself, and including working closely with the Office of the Assessor and their employees. Becky Rogers has met all of these deadlines, has attended to all of the details while keeping the board informed as well. The Board of Equalization finds that our ability to do all of these items is exemplary. Further, on each day of the hearing, Clerk Becky assembles 4 tab notebooks that includes all paperwork submitted by the appellant and the answers to the petitions and paperwork submitted by the assessor's representative. These materials are scanned and provided in a secured online file for our review. As one of our board members is blind and our hearing rooms is not for the exclusive use. Each day, Becky positions a CCTV and other needed technologies to accommodate our member. We prepare board orders for each hearing. Typically, those orders are written during an executive session of the board. Clerk Becky must listen to the 4 of us as we together and as we write our orders. In truly an exemplary manner, she is typing and discerning our words in real time as we discuss what we need to have in our order. The four of us BOA members are seasoned professionals in our working careers. We've all had secretaries and administrative assistants. Collectively, we agree that Ms. Rogers ranks incredibly high on the list of truly outstanding support personnel. Thus, we ask you as the commissioners to issue an order of commendation to Mason County employee and BOE clerk, Ms. Becky Rogers, on our behalf. Thank you very much.
No, we have work to do.
So for you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate working with the board in this position. Thank you.
Well, oddly enough, I had a phone call yesterday. It had nothing to do with any of this. I'll explain to you a little more with nothing but the highest regards for you and what you do here, actually, as well. And so I'll pass that on to your supervisor who will let them know so we also know how to handle that.
Thank you.
So Becky, I want to thank you too. I just want to take some time to just share that you did come into this job, into this role, with a vigor. And all of us were trying to understand it. Like you said, with a brand new board, we were all trying to understand it, and you just made it very, very easy to transition in. But most importantly, I listened to you talk to the public as they come in and have questions about the whole process, and your customer service is exemplary. And it is everything we all hope our Mason County service to the public is. And I thank you very much for being that face and that high customer service provider to the public in this role and all the other roles you play. Thank you.
I just want to thank the board for coming in and making this effort to recognize Becky. I think that's really terrific. I read through the memo as you were reading it, Bob, and especially the sentence here, the 4 of us BOE members are seasoned professionals. Right, a lot of years of experience there on the board. In our working lives, we've all had secretaries or administrative assistants, and collectively we agree that Ms. Rogers ranks incredibly high on a list of truly outstanding support personnel. That's quite a recommendation.
I'd also like to
comment.
comment.
Years of service that you've had in long careers.
Dr. Kevin Frankieberger would love to have been here. However, he had a medical issue on behalf of his wife, and they're up in Seattle at a medical facility this morning. So he will be listening to the recording and sharing with us there.
Goes well for him.
This is the first time that anybody had ever asked for this since I've been here. And I asked for some clarification from our long-standing member here. With the commission's approval, I would like to ask staff to put together a briefing so we can prepare and have full discussions on accommodation letter from the board. You okay with that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next up, item number 4.3, news release of Pacific Mountain Workforce Development Board of Directors, Commissioner Jeffries.
Okay, just as a way of introduction, the Workforce Development Council is a regional council mandated by federal law to provide workforce development services And the federal law has gone through some changes which precipitate needs changes to the board structure and the makeup of the board. And so as such, they are abandoning the current board and establishing a new board under the direction of the federal law, with an emphasis on a lot of business personnel representation on that board. So this is a recruitment letter for that. Mason County is seeking nominations from local business and trade associations, which is required by law, to fill 3 business representative positions on the Pacific Mountain Workforce Development Council. Applicants must be in a position of leadership within their business, and the process requires a nomination by a trade, industry, business organization such as the Chamber of Commerce or Economic Development Council. The Washington Workforce Development Council is responsible for workforce development in the 5 county areas of Grays Harbor, Lewis, Pacific, Thurston, and Mason counties. The WDC is led by a dedicated group of labor, business, and community leaders focused on the mission to build community prosperity. Currently, the WDC meets monthly with meetings normally lasting 2 to 4 hours. Members are on a voluntary, non-salary basis, but may receive reimbursement for travel expenses. A complete description of duties, responsibilities, and board member application can be found at, and it has the website address of the Pac Mountain Board. Nominations will be accepted until May 22nd, 2015. Board of County Commissioners. Now that is a short timeline, and we are doing a broad news release and broad call for recruitment because we know that there are other business and trade organizations in the community beyond just the chambers and the EDC. So we wanted to make sure that all associations that felt that they were eligible for nomination would also participate in this recruitment process. And I apologize for the short turnaround time. It's just a function of the law and the implementation of the new law. So thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much. Is there any other correspondence?
Chairman, I just was going to ask a question if I could.
Sure.
So trade association, so it could be like the Oyster Growers Association, those types of business associations would be eligible.
Absolutely.
Great.
Even
Shellfish
like-
growers.
Yes. Yes. Any type of organization that represents an industry as a whole, and then you have ones that represent many types of industry and businesses. So if you'll look onto the website, onto the recruitment information, it identifies 5 industry clusters that we're trying to support specifically in this region. That was based out of an industry cluster study done by our EDCs in the 5-county region. And I'm going to not get them all right. Healthcare, IT, the natural resource industries, tourism, and chemical manufacturing, plastics, etc., that support industry and manufacturing. And so we're looking for specific representation in those areas if possible, but broad-based representation is also very important. And I just wanted to just give a kudos to the Workforce Development Council. I attended as well as Commissioner Netherland, a organizing meeting of the response to the Simpson and OPP closures. And I am extremely impressed at the level of help that's coming our way from the federal and the state and the local levels. And it's a very thorough and comprehensive response that's being planned, not just for things like retraining, extra dollars going to our Congress and asking for extra dollars for retraining opportunities, and even entrepreneurship training for folks that may want to take this opportunity to start their own business. It's very comprehensive, and I'm very impressed, and I thank everybody that's involved with that, and especially the Workforce Development Council.
All right, thank you very much. Is there any other correspondence or organizational business to come before this body?
No.
Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 5. Item number 5 is open forum for citizens input. This is your opportunity to speak to the commission on any item that is not on the agenda. If it is on the agenda, we ask that you wait, hold off till that time, and then you'll be given an opportunity to ask questions or testify if that's what you'd like to do. With that being said, remember 5 minutes per person, maximum up to a 15-minute limit for everybody, so please be brief. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on any issue that is not on the agenda today? Hearing none, We will move to item number 6, which is the adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of County Commissioners adopt the agenda as presented today.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded for the adoption of the agenda as presented today. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, the motion carries. Item number 7, approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the May 4th briefing minutes, April 28th, and May 5th regular meeting minutes as presented.
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded for the approval of the May 4th, 2015 briefing minutes and the April 28th and May 5th regular meeting minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, the motion carries. Item number 8 is the approval of the action agenda. All items listed under the action agenda may be enacted by one motion unless a commissioner or citizen requests an item be removed from the action agenda and considered as a separate vote. We will go ahead and read the action agenda to the public, at which time you'll be given an opportunity to ask any question that would help you to decide whether or not to take it off for a separate vote. But again, if you'd like to testify, it's not a question, please have it taken off. We'll give you an opportunity to testify at that time. I'm going to go ahead and give my fellow commissioners a break, and I will read them all today, since there's not that much to it. Item number 1, 8.1, approval of the resolution amending Resolution 87.05 for the updated Mason County Emergency Evacuation Procedures, Downtown Campus, April 23rd, 2015 edition. Item number 8.2, approval of an extension of the Park Host Agreement with Heather and Bernie Gaines to serve the Park Host at Truman Glick Park until December 31st, 2018. Item number 8.3, approval of the Veterans Assistance Fund applications for utilities, $678.39 as recommended by the Veterans Service Office. Item number 8.4, approval to authorize ER&R to declare surplus of certain county-owned vehicles and authorize sales of these vehicles at the Washington State Surplus Sales. And item number 8.5, approval of the resolution to set a hearing date with the hearings examiner for June 10, 2015 at 1 p.m. to consider public comment on the petition for vacation of portion of First Street and portion of an alley and Hood Canal Land and Improvement Company's plan for a union in Mason County, Washington. That's all there is. So with that being said, are there any questions on any items that I had just read that you may have to help you decide whether to take it off for a separate vote? Hearing none, is there any items that you would like taken off for a second vote? Commissioners, any items? Any items? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the items on the action agenda 8.1 through 8.5.
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded for the approval of the action agendas 8.1 through 8.5 as listed. Any discussion?
I want to thank our Emergency Management Director, Ross, for your work on the emergency evacuation procedures. I know that this is somewhat of an iterative process because how can you prepare for every emergency, but thank you for your hard work and thank you for working so closely with our courthouse security group too.
Thank you. Thank you.
I also appreciate it. I was in the meeting and serve on that, and appreciate that you were trying to overcome issues that had occurred before you ever got here, because we had some issues with the past threats, and you had to pick up the ball from over a year and a half ago, I think it was. So thank you for doing it. You did a fantastic job too.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, the motion carries. We have no public hearings at this time, so we'll move on to other business, department heads and elected officials. Are there any department heads who would like to speak at this time? Any elected officials who would like to speak at this time? I don't see more. Then we'll move on to board reports and calendars. Who's first?
I'd be happy to go. So last week after our meeting, I did some work in office and then attended the next day the planning meeting with Commissioner Nevin was there as well that I spoke of earlier, the Workforce Development Council. Had a special meeting with the Workforce Development Council of Governments in which I represent our county on. Met with also Commissioner Mike Olson in his capacity as the Mason Transit Authority Board Chair. Attended the day-long workshop of the Hood Canal Coordinating Council on climate change and its effects on the canal, and it's kind of surprising how much they would know about specifically this area. I see climate change as kind of a global issue. Some of the things that They're talking about some of the impacts would be increase in air temperature of 20 to 30 or 10 to 12 degrees, extreme participation for the next half century, a kind of a change in the weather patterns to be a rain dominant system as opposed to snow, shifts in peak stream flows and other severe related events, and there was some planning around what type of preparation and mitigation could potentially be done. I think there's a full report that'll come out of that later. And then it represented the county on the special meeting of the county's risk pool as they interviewed the 2 finalist candidates for replacement of the executive director, Burl Hill. And we had 2 amazing candidates, and one was selected, and that'll be made public when and if this person accepts the offer. Attended the Mason County Christian School annual fundraising auction, and then spoke to a group of ladies about Mother's Day on Saturday. We had briefings yesterday, and then today, after this meeting, I will have a MACECOM meeting, and then Wednesday I'll be meeting with a relocation. Well, first we have a criminal justice working team meeting in which they will contemplate and potentially approve a vision statement for that group and for criminal justice and public safety in general. And then I'll be meeting with a relocation specialist in the real estate industry who has some things she wants to talk about potentially that could help us build our diversity and our economic activities here in the county. We'll be attending the Shelton Chamber after hours at the Transit Community Center. Meeting with the director of the Hood Canal Corning Council. I'll be speaking to the Association of Realtors, and then this weekend is the first of Taylor Shellfish's public sales of oyster seed, in which I volunteer my labors on over the weekend, and back here for briefings on Monday.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So after, like last Tuesday's meeting, which was May 5th, I think it was in Olympia, and I missed the workforce meeting, but it seems like it went well. Thank you very much for both of you for attending. I had public power meetings on Wednesday the 6th and Thursday the 7th. And thank you, Commissioner Jeffries, for attending the risk pool personnel issue meeting. I know you went to Seattle for that. That was always difficult on a Friday, so thank you for doing that. And briefings here we had yesterday, and I did have some conversations over the phone with a couple people, just to say during the week here. Talked to the mayor a little bit, Shelton, about the issues of the closures with the Economic Development Council with Lynn. I think she's really doing a good job. She's right on top of things, and also had a couple conversations with Sierra Pacific. So we're all learning as we go along, but I think it's going to be as smooth a transition as possible. I think we have a finance committee scheduled for tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Is that right?
No, it was changed to June.
Oh, it was changed, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not happening tomorrow morning. Okay, and then I have an ORCA, Olympic Region Clean Air agency meeting tomorrow at 10. I'll be there in Olympia for that. And then there is a meeting on Thursday with State Parks in Cle Elum about Fudge Point, but I don't believe I can go. I think there's some people from the island, Connell Duff, I think some people from Harsing Island will be there. There's also a tour of the Skokomish Estuary, I think 1:30 to 3:30 on Thursday the 14th. I think it's been put on, I think it's Center, I believe Erica Bates, who was with WSU here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the contact person, so
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'll go on that or not, but that's a
I was there
possibility.
with Tribe. There's 200.
Yeah.
With the WSU, Eric Bates, yes.
Yeah. And then Monday, I'll be here for the briefings. Randy, I think you're not going to be here on Monday, and I'll be here for that. Hopefully, we'll see what's going on in Olympia, because you'll know a little more as time progresses there.
So potentially Monday could be canceled as far as briefings.
I think I'll be here.
Okay, is that it?
Mhm.
Next up is me. I attended North Mason Business Breakfast. We're talking about the bypass and the impacts it's having, and it could have. I attended in the same morning the Simpson planning meeting as well. Very nice to see all these people trying to work together and come up with some ideas. And basically, it's more like trying to work to create a team so we can continue to address things as they keep popping up. I had a signing for some properties, Mason County properties, and I met with the director of the Kitsap Regional Coordinating Council, which is their transportation committee over in Kitsap County. I went to Sand Hill Parks to work with somebody from our Parks Department on getting access to some handicapped people so they can actually reach the fields down below. It's such a far walk, and the hill is so bad for them to come down. It's just not realistic. Opening up this gate and allowing them to get down there is going to make a huge difference. I also met with some people in regards from the Kitsap County in regards to the Kitsap Regional Coordinating Council and some changes that are happening there. I met with Mount Moriah, an organization creating a temple board, of which I am the chair now, and climate workshop. I missed you. I was there from the beginning, and
Really?
yes, and did all the presentation and stuff. And I must have left before you got there. Then I aligned with Healthy South Sound representatives, and then I met with the Pierce County Water Director of Water Quality. A whole long list of stuff that Dan Rye does. He's a great guy, incredible with some of the different ideas that we have for our regional stormwater and some of the things he wants to help us avoid getting into the trap of, and some ways that things we can do to better our urban growth rates. We've had discussions about that before. He's the guy to talk to without having to put ourselves in jeopardy. When Pierce County, you look at what Pierce County had to do it, they have such a high, what is it, it's basically a permit, but it's funny because it sounds like it's something that you want to do, but the way it turns out is once you permit it, you're on a first stage permit, you have everything that they want you to do. And they have to do so much because they took a little money here and there in the beginning, and we'd never survive it. We flat would never survive it.
The National Pollution Discharge Permit, is that what you're referring to?
I'm not positive, because we went on for a lot of different things. I'm not sure the word he gave, but they spent $18 million a year to meet that standard.
My goodness.
So $18 million a year.
That tax base,
I know,
I can afford
but-
that.
Well, they get some of the money from the government for being the permitted
I see.
thing, but at the same time, not near enough to cover any of that. I met with the Shelton Commissioner and passed on some of my recommendations and the things that I hope they will do to help streamline that process for the rebuild and get that open as quick as we can. I met with the members of the Tip Cap Committee, and they're trying to decide and figure out the best way to structure that, because they've not set up the true structure or anything for it yet, and the best way that they can be beneficial to the county. I had a Humane Society dinner, Sales and Tales. It was the first one. I was their MC that I had gone to. It was absolutely wonderful. I tell you what, they had a guy there named Kip, who was an auctioneer. That guy, I'm surprised he just didn't turn people upside down and make money come out, because he drove more money out of these people. It was pretty impressive. Then I also had with the folks up in River Hill. Let's see, I wanted to point out the oyster seed thing. We got to find a way to give them an award. That oyster seed program and the thing they do, people have no idea the economic boost that gives to all of us. All these people that live down, like I'm just using the canal for example, that are buying their seed and seeding their properties, they actually pay their taxes with the money that they get for their percentage of what they're growing out there. And people have no idea how huge this thing is, and the fact that Taylor Shellfish does this, we would only miss it if it wasn't there to watch a downturn in the money and to watch a downturn in how much we have out there in the waters. And anybody that's ever seen the film that Taylor Shellfish has of putting clams or oysters in water, in a dirty water, and watching in 20 minutes become sparkly clean as they filter it out, would understand how important it is to our environment that this is happening. So I appreciate you going and doing that. Do me a favor, give them a pat on the back and say thank you, but I think we should look at a way to compliment them on that, because that effort far outreaches anything that is just normal business. I can assure you, they're not making a bunch of money off the selling.
No, these seed sales were originated just to bring public awareness around water quality. And unfortunately, their seed, the amount of seed available this year is very limited, so we're going to, people line up from 6:30 on, and we're going to have to limit the amount of seed they can buy. And That's never
How
happy.
do you, what's the limit?
Usually,
These are-
depending on the species, if
This
it's,
is shell stock that's seeded.
yeah, it's the actual seed.
Mhm.
And there's 500 seeds per lot. And generally, depending, Kumamoto's generally, if we have them, it's 1/500, and if it's Pacific, usually, I think this year they're gonna limit it to 1,000 total.
They're
And
not
they sell
attached-
clam,
they're
they
not
sell
attached
breed
to shell, so.
Pardon me?
They're not attached to shell.
No, those
Yeah.
cultures, sometimes we'll have cultures. It's, you need to come down and see. They'll start at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. It's quite the operation.
I wish I could.
And if I may add, Public Health will have a booth there for operation and maintenance of on-site septic systems.
And we appreciate that. Like I said, it's a public awareness campaign as well.
On the Fudge Point issue, there are definitely going to be people there from Marston Island. We've been working really hard with them, and they've come a long way with being able to have some stipulations to where the majority of them agree to move forward. In the process, one of the things they talked about they would like to do is to be able to do an RV camping of 25 to 50. And we found out in the meantime that they were a little confused. They did not have the right information. They do, in fact, in order to pull that off, need a rezone from the county. And we've talked to them, and I know I've already talked to them also. They're very much aware of it, and it appears that they're going to do their very best to meet the, I don't want to call them demands, the requests of the citizens to a T on everything for that letter, to be exact, in order to hopefully be welcomed by all of us and the community. So, and he pointed out he's never had an area where he's had commissioners show up for every single meeting we've had. The gentleman that's running the show. So, next week I'm going down for graduation. Last year I didn't get a vacation. This year I'm taking a vacation. I'm missing one meeting. I feel really bad about it. Just even the one, but before I leave, I'll be meeting with some members of the Belfair Sewer Advisory Committee this morning. I have some conference calls I'll be attending, West Sound Alliance, legislative steering calls and the like. But other than that, I won't be attending most of the meetings. I'll be back Tuesday for the regular general meeting.
You have a great time.
I will. I'm watching my nephew, who many years ago, he has a single mother, and before I even met or married my wife, I knew the family, and they used to send him up to live with me during the summers to try and teach him to be a man. And I'm watching him graduate from college, and I'm about as proud as any man can
What a
be.
proud moment, yes.
It means the world to me, I'm telling you. He's a very good man.
I'd like to also weigh in on the Fudge Point issue. Watching this process, they have been extremely accommodating in a compromise in both from the community and with Parks Department on the planning of this whole thing. I've been very impressed. I've not seen this kind of compromise in a long time in any kind of planning. And people aren't going to both sides are not going to get everything they want, I think. But I just appreciate the effort from the Parks Department to accommodate the needs and wishes of the community there.
That guy's really talented. The one running it, he's an old ex-school teacher, and even when he had an unruly kid in the audience, he handled it very, very well.
What are they doing about the big issues of the roads,
So
fire and police
yeah.
protection and all that? I
So-
know we're.
So all of those are
This
things.
isn't on the agenda, but
Yeah.
there are some big issues.
Huge issues, and all of those, this is the planning stage. And so when you get to the permit stage, that's when the county asks for mitigation efforts, address the impacts of increased traffic, way down the bridge potentially, all those things. We will, as a county, have a responsibility to put out there our needs and have those be addressed as they go forward if and when they ever actually go to the permitting piece of it. I think they made it very clear that whether or not this park gets built, I mean, that could be a long time out into the future. But the planning piece of it at least gets them to the point of it gets onto some sort of queue of when and if there's ever the money to go ahead and do the development of it. And the mitigation of the impacts to the county. Now, fire and public safety, those are issues that I don't know that our code adequately addresses. And I don't know, there'll be a lot of looking into how can we make sure that those impacts are mitigated as well.
Well, I hear from some other people that are not real excited about it. And I think the legislature this year, you'll find that the money for capital for park improvements and not for acquisitions.
Mhm.
There is a time when you have to catch up and make sure that what you have is operating well before you buy a new one.
Well, they've already bought this, there's that
Well, there's
400,000.
There's other property they
Yeah,
want.
no, I know there's 400,000 in the capital budget, I think it's on one of the two sides specifically for that project. But the only thing we're talking about, that's not even included in the plan right now, just the idea that they could purchase it. The plan that they're looking at, some of the big victories this community had, 'cause some of those same people that have issue, we're calling both of us, you know, Mike and stuff like that, is working his rear end off. Those are some great people that are there. With the work and negotiating it out, they were able to do some things that help protect their community. One, they did away with the seating up in the front that would bring everybody through their yards to get to it. They were able to get the park to design it to where it's away from the shore, so that it takes more to get to, except for the handicap stall down below. Smaller in size, and they're going to require that there must be a provision for a ranger to be specifically on that spot. There's quite a few different things that are on it, but no matter what, it still comes down to, in the end, for them to even get started on that in 10, 20 years, it will be a rezone. And we have to do our work in the meantime to put whatever type of restrictions or things that are necessary for that rezone while we're still here.
Well, you have to be careful of the appearance of fairness
Yeah.
laws. So don't give the impression that you are approving or disapproving of a rezone before you hear it.
And
You're a different body than just the commission. You're a quasi-judicial body when it comes to a rezone.
And I'm doing neither, but I am interested in working now to help protect the area and make sure that it's done correctly when the time comes in 10 years when somebody else is dealing with it.
This is going to be an issue that we'll continue to have to address for years to come. I think Mr. Hankinson who is the planner, made a good point. As people were saying, why are you planning a new park when you can't even maintain the parks you have?
Yeah.
And he said, our job is both to maintain the existing parks at some level, but also to plan for population growth. And we all know that the population projections for the Seattle area point to a need of some kind of more parks. And if it happens to be Mason County, which it's turning out that Mason County is becoming the playground for the Puget Sound area, you know, do we push back or do we embrace it and see it as something that we can benefit from as well?
And again, you know, the idea of whether or not the park is going to happen, that ship has sailed. They're not a conservation organization. When they buy land for public parks, they actually buy it for a park. That's why the design, that's already going to happen. So our job was kind of to help that community and mitigate it to be something that they could actually handle. But it was already going to happen. They already purchased the land. They had no intentions of giving it back. And if they did decide to sell it and get rid of it, you have the other opportunity that it's sold and used for development. So a bunch of houses go up. So there's stuff on both sides. Is there anything further on any of that, commissioners?
Not for me.
Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would move that we adjourn.
And I'll second that.
We are adjourned. Have a great day, guys.